The first thing I wanted to ask you about is, in your work as producers, you've worked a lot with J.C. Chandor, who had Margin Call here,
Yep.
All Is Lost with Robert Redford, and then most recently, Most Violent Year.
Yep.
And he's one of the most exciting new directors to come out in the last few years, and I wanted to know how you got hooked up with him, how you discovered him.
A friend of mine introduced us on a Friday afternoon, and I called Zach about 5 minutes after meeting him, and we just knew that he was a guy that we wanted to be in business with, and we read his script that night. We hadn't read it, we didn't know anything about him, but we just had a sense of him. Read it that night and called each other about midnight and said, you know, this is the one. And it was our first movie as producers that we made, was Margin Call, and the second we read it, we knew we had to have it. It was the right material to define what we wanted to do in terms of making movies.
It's a great movie. The next movie he did was a big risk. It's all in the water. There's almost no dialogue. There's one word in it, I think. How did you know that he could pull that off?
We didn't. But you know, JC has a real capacity to instill confidence, and when he believes in something, he can articulate it in a really unique way, and I think bring people on board to ideas that might be otherwise a little bit too risky. So it was actually through the process of releasing Margin Call. We were actually in Berlinale at the film festival with Margin Call when he presented us with the idea of All Is Lost, and there's just something about that kind of bombacity actually that I think we both responded to, and having the experience of making his first movie with him and really knowing that not only do we like him, but we trust him. And then luckily so did Bob, because that was obviously a big linchpin.
His next movie is going back to the water?
Yes.
This movie, it's about Deepwater Horizon, the big
just
oil spill.
I was there on Thursday in New Orleans. We're in the middle of building a very big set in New Orleans right now.
So this is going to be it's Mark Wahlberg is starring in it?
And a bunch of other actors that we're not talking about yet, but will be out soon that are people you know. A lot of them. There's 60, 70 speaking roles in the movie. It's a sort of towering inferno on the water kind of movie. But it's based on a real, you know, obviously the big BP oil spill in the Gulf.
Have you guys have you talked to BP? Does BP know you're making it?
We asked one of our consultants whether BP knew about the movie, and they said, I'm sure they have read the script, even though no one has sent it to them. They're very sly. I'm sure they're well aware of the movie.
BP is very slick.
Nice pun. I like it. Yeah, I'm sure they're very aware of the movie. Our goal is to tell the story of these guys who are on the rig and get it right, and the political implications, et cetera, are all certainly they all come from the movie. And when you see the story, you will sort of see that stuff come out of it. But what the story is about these men.
Who is Wahlberg playing in the movie?
Wahlberg plays I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say that yet. He plays one of the men on the rig who made some mistakes and did some heroic things as well. And you know, it was just ultimately these guys were there working in a very dangerous job, and it went as bad as it can possibly go. And this sort of explores what you do under pressure and what you do when you're sort of tempting the fate of the earth, like the power of the earth. It's kind of massive in that way.
Right. His last, Most Violent Year is also about oil.
Well,
it's very interesting, the progression, right? So Margin Call is this very contained corporate thriller drama, and then All Is Lost is this, you know, completely anomalous water movie with very little dialogue. And then Most Violent Year is about the oil industry itself, and then, who else would direct the movie about Deepwater Horizon? This huge corporate story on the water about, you know, oil.
This is the oil company from Most Violent Year, the fictional oil company. We rock our company colors when we can.
Yeah.